Oikeiosis. Imagine you're holding a newborn baby for the first time. Your arms instinctively tighten around this tiny being, and something ancient awakens within you, a fierce protectiveness that feels both completely natural and mysteriously profound. You didn't choose this feeling. It simply emerged, as if your very nature expanded to include another soul within its boundaries. Yet here's what puzzles the mind. How does the heart know where you end and not you begins? The Stoics called this mysterious force Oikeiosis, the paradoxical process by which we naturally extend our sense of self to embrace others, moving from the smallest circle of self-concern to ever-widening rings of care. What makes this so strange is that it suggests our deepest nature isn't actually selfish at all, but rather contains an inherent drive toward connection that grows stronger the more we understand it. How can caring for ourselves lead us to care for everyone else? You might think of your life as a series of concentric circles drawn in the sand. At the very center stands you, your body, your immediate needs, your survival instincts. This feels like the most natural thing in the world. Of course you care about yourself first. Your hand pulls back from fire without thought, your stomach growls and you seek food. Your heart beats steadily in service of your own life. But then you notice something curious happening as you move through the world. The circle begins to expand, almost of its own accord. Your family occupies the next ring, parents, children, siblings, and their pain becomes your pain in ways that logic cannot fully explain. You lose sleep when your child is sick, feel genuine joy at your mother's laughter, experience your partner's struggles as if they were carved from your own heart. On one hand, this expansion seems to contradict everything you thought you knew about human nature. Aren't we supposed to be fundamentally self-interested, looking out for ourselves above all else? Yet on the other hand, you recognize this growing circle as something deeply authentic, perhaps more true to your nature than the narrow boundaries of pure self-concern. Why does caring for others feel so much like coming home to yourself? The mystery deepens when you realize this isn't where the expansion stops. Your circle of concern naturally reaches out to include friends, then neighbors, then your community. You find yourself genuinely troubled by injustice happening to strangers, moved by the suffering of people you'll never meet. The homeless person on the corner begins to matter in ways that surprise you. The distant news of natural disasters touches something real in your chest. What the Stoics understood is that this isn't learned behavior. It's the unfolding of human nature itself. Like a flower naturally turning toward sunlight, consciousness naturally expands toward greater connection. You don't have to force yourself to care about your child's well-being. The caring emerges from the same source as your breath. The paradox is that taking care of yourself includes taking care of others, not as an obligation, but as an expression of who you really are. Consider how this plays out in the smallest moments of daily life. You're walking through the grocery store, focused on your own list, your own needs. Then you see an elderly person struggling to reach something on a high shelf. Without thinking, you step forward to help. In that moment, where exactly are the boundaries of you? Your action feels entirely natural, as if helping them is simply an extension of helping yourself navigate the world. This is where Oikeiosis reveals its deepest wisdom. The self that includes others is actually more complete than the self that stands alone. When you help that person reach the item on the shelf, you're not diminishing yourself or sacrificing your interests. You're expressing your fullest nature. The circle of care doesn't weaken as it expands. It grows stronger, more resilient, more deeply rooted in the truth of interconnection. Yet there's something even more mysterious at work here. The Stoics noticed that this expansion of care doesn't happen randomly. It follows a natural progression from near to far, from known to unknown. You don't typically feel the same immediate concern for a stranger's headache as you do for your child's fever. But the capacity for that care exists within you, waiting to be awakened through understanding and practice. Think of it like learning to see in dim light. At first, only the objects closest to you are visible. But as your eyes adjust, the circle of visibility naturally expands, revealing more and more of what was always there. Oikeiosis is the adjustment of the heart's vision, not forcing yourself to care, but removing the obstacles that prevent you from recognizing how much you already do. The ancient philosophers realized that this expansion isn't sentimental wishful thinking. It's based on a profound recognition of reality. When you truly examine your life, the boundaries between self and other begin to reveal themselves as somewhat arbitrary. The air you breathe was exhaled by countless others. The thoughts you think were shaped by every person who ever touched your life. The very words you speak to yourself are borrowed from the community that raised you. Where exactly do you begin and the rest of the world end? The question isn't meant to dissolve all boundaries, but to help you see that the boundaries you've drawn are much more flexible than they first appeared. Your well-being and the well-being of others aren't in competition. They're aspects of the same deeper harmony. This understanding brings a peculiar kind of peace. Instead of constantly defending a small, isolated self against a threatening world, you begin to experience yourself as part of something larger and more sustainable. The stranger's kindness reflects your capacity for kindness. The friend's joy amplifies your own ability to feel joy. Even the difficult person's struggles mirror challenges you've faced or might someday face. As you settle into this expanded sense of self, something remarkable happens to the quality of your daily experience. Problems that once felt overwhelming begin to feel more manageable, not because they've gotten smaller, but because the you that faces them has grown larger. You have more resources to draw upon, not just your own strength, but the strength of every connection you've allowed yourself to feel. The Stoics saw this as the natural destination of human development, a person so secure in their expanded identity that serving the common good feels as natural as breathing, not because they've deleted their individual needs, but because they've discovered that their deepest individual need is to be connected, to belong, to contribute to something beyond the narrow boundaries of isolated selfhood. Tonight, as you prepare for rest, you might sense this ancient process continuing to work within you. The love you feel for those closest to you isn't separate from your love for yourself. It's the same love, recognized in its fuller expression. It's not about solving the mystery of where you end and others begin. It's about noticing how the boundaries have always been more porous, more alive, more generous than you imagined.